What if the world ended, but the rent was still due? What if the apocalypse wasn't distributed equally? What if your debt dies with you? Red Markets is an economic horror tabletop role-playing game. Your survivors called takers, in the zombie hellscape known as the Loss. Your goal? Take jobs, make a lot of bounty, and bribe your way over the fence to the safer regions known as the Recession. Red Markets is currently on KickStarter. Please consider checking it out and backing it. Red Markets by Hebanon Games.
Slenderman, Slenderman, all the children try to run. Slenderman, Slenderman, to him it's part of the fun. Slenderman, Slenderman, dressed in darkest suit and tie. Slenderman, Slenderman, you most certainly will die.
Oh, hello, and welcome to Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
And I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy, most pasta. And, for Slendermonth this year, most slender. Tonight we have Silence in the Rain.
Because they're on a diet.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's Slendermonth 2016, and we're going to be doing a slew of Slenderman-related stories and vlogs. Possibly even a movie. And so we're going to start off with Silence in the Rain. It's on creepypasta.com and is by The Doctor.
Not me.
No, not Dr. Leviathan, but just by the author is just simply The Doctor.
Although I might actually have taken credit for it. If I wasn't such an honest and upstanding citizen.
Yes, of course. It's read. You can also check it out on YouTube by Distilled Illusion. He does a pretty good show with music and audio and a decent reading of it. So go check it out there.
Music and audio.
Yeah. I mean sound effects, but you know what I meant. Moving right along. So let's dive right into this one. So a man named Mark is just straight up right into the action is and has been running from some very tall figure in the heavy rain of New York City. The tall figure is chasing him without moving, but every time he looks back or away and then back again, the guy is that much closer.
Oh, son of a bitch, he does have a name.
Yeah. Also, every time he stares at this figure, he gets horrible feelings and bad memories, like most embarrassing memories of his life, and feels ill. So he doesn't want to look at this thing. So he's running, gets into a street, and nearly gets swept away by a flash flood. And that's when the figure gets the closest to him. And this is where we get a description. It's tall. He tries to look up to its head, and it just seems to be escalating taller and taller. It's in a suit, but it's all ragged and bloodied and torn. And then he finally does see the face, and it's not faceless, but it's just so horrible that his mind is erasing it from his head every minute, or every moment he sees it. So he escapes a tentacle attack from this thing by diving into the water, and just goes down the flooded street and nearly falls into an open manhole. As he's getting up, though, he sees that the figure's much there again, and starts getting closer every time he tries to struggle to get up. When he gets too close, he just fuck it, drops into the manhole, injures himself. I think it says that he hurts his hip to the point where he can't really move very well. So he starts slinking away from that spot, and he starts looking around and sees something in the distance, but it starts hurting himself and starts getting sick again. And so he figures it's the creature. So rather than face this thing, he tries to drown himself in the water. But as he jumps in, he gets pulled in by the tentacle and is seen face to face with this creature. It just starts puking up over and over again because of the sight of this thing. And then he feels two fingers from this thing's claws on his eyes. And then we cut, before anything totally gruesome happens on screen, we cut to a woman is looking out her window to investigate a scream she thought she heard in the rain, but doesn't see anything, and she gets this weird vibe, like bad memories about her mom, so she goes back to her daily routine inside the house, And little does she know she is the next target of the Slender Man as it slowly starts creeping into her building. And we end there. So, that was Silence in the Rain, a very short creepypasta. I guess I'll dive into what my thoughts on it. I liked the imagery of the scene described, this whole encounter. It was very action-packed, or very action-oriented, while still kind of giving a really decent description of the Slender Man when he shows up, and kind of giving you that dread of, like, being stalked or being chased by something that you can't outrun. Yes, it was short, but I felt it was to the point, a snapshot of a slender attack. I don't really know, but the flooding streets seemed a little exaggerated to me, but maybe that's just because I'm not very... I don't know, like, guys, like,
Yeah,
is
that
that
was an issue.
That was an issue, like, that is... Okay, so I'm not just me, like, the flash flooding, going up and down the hilly streets of it?
It was
No.
only going down.
It was only
It was going uphill. Water
He
doesn't
mentioned,
do that.
he mentioned
No, yeah,
there was up
he does
and
mention it, though,
downhill.
yeah. That's,
But
yeah.
he said based on your perspective.
Okay, so it was... Okay, so that was just... I didn't catch that.
Yes,
part. Okay.
he was, like... Yeah, it doesn't
Fair enough.
flow up and down.
Yeah, but the whole, like, practically creating a river down the street, like, is that...
That's a thing that
Okay.
can happen.
Well,
yeah.
it is something that can happen. It's just how much water. And he describes what seems like a small amount,
Yeah.
and then it becomes a lot
Yeah.
more.
See, now, I was actually okay with that because if you'll notice, when it becomes more, he's in a more panicked state.
Yeah.
Like, when he throws himself down, he's not, like, throwing himself into a river and going with the current. He's just using the motion of the momentum of the water to help him go faster.
Yeah.
Because he was already down at that point, wasn't he?
Yeah, he'd fallen in and...
But when they first show the street, it talks about there being, like, the water was high enough that it was on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And then he turns around, sees the Slender Man,
And leaps.
and then falls back, and then suddenly he's underwater. Which means, like, street, you got a
I
curve
understand, yeah,
that's
but-
only so high, plus a little bit more. You need at least a foot
I'm
or
forgiving
more.
on that
Yeah.
one.
Like,
Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
Technically.
And, like, I haven't...
But
like,
I mean, like, you know what? He could have fallen with his head to the side, which, you know, then he's got a face full of water. He's not necessarily, you know.
I kind of forgive it because it
I'm
was really
seeing
fun
it
imagery.
as more exaggerated imagery. Now, I mean, like, I'm also reading into this, like, you know, those art students read into a blank canvas. And I'm going to admit that. But I don't know. Because, yes, you're right, but for me it worked.
Yeah.
For me, it did.
Well,
And that's
fair enough.
fine.
Yeah.
Because, honestly, I know I'm reading more into it than is here.
Yeah.
Because, yes, technically, it's just straight up.
Exaggerated.
No, it's just straight up wrong.
Yeah.
It's going against what the real world has in it.
Yeah.
And it's doing that obviously in the wrong places because we're talking about, you know, basically how high a curve is.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be, like, that deep.
Yeah.
And I mean, if it is,
Then he's been sloshing through it.
Yeah,
Slender
exactly.
Man is not your only concern.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
this lady reading in her apartment at the end should probably be looking at getting evacuated.
Yeah,
Same.
exactly. Yeah, I was able to forget. Like, that was the one thing that came up, like, glaringly to me, but then I was like, oh, you know what, I can forgive that, because it was pretty fun to read that. Slender Man's face is not being faceless, but just obscured or beyond comprehension. Actually kind of tickled me a little bit because it harkens back to, like, Victor Surge, the original creator of Slender Man. His description of what Slender Man, how it affects, like, photos and stuff. The photos are the only reason why he looks like he has a blank face. It's because, like, otherwise, like, he has a face that people can only vaguely discern or describe when they actually encounter him, and then just on media it doesn't show up. So I liked that. That kind of that bringing it back to the original like idea of Slenderman. The sickness comes from all manner of different Slenderman medias, like Marble Hornets, I think, started it, but I don't know if it was in the original mythos of it. So it seems like the author definitely had a grasp on the Slenderverse, or like on like different ideas from the Slenderman universe. Also, the description of the suit being ragged and bloodied added to its menace, which I just enjoyed. Otherwise, I enjoyed the descriptions that it was given, although it was kind of like just a snapshot of possibly a bigger story. But that's what I got.
Yeah, it does seem like not unfinished, because I mean, we have a beginning, we have an end, but I would have preferred this to have been part of something bigger.
Yeah.
Also, there is no real reason for this to be Slenderman, and that kind of irks me a little bit, because this would have been, in my opinion, maybe not yours, but in my opinion, it would have been way better if the author had the courage to leave this without Slenderman and have something else of his own creation and not rely on Slenderman.
I could see that, yeah.
Just my opinion, because it doesn't have to be Slenderman, and it doesn't, like, it describes Slenderman well, using stuff from, the Slenderman mythos and other stories, but it doesn't exist in any of those worlds.
We don't have any, like,
it's just, the only reason it exists as a Slenderman thing is because it's Slenderman described.
Yeah.
But if it was, some hideous monster or, something else, it would have been unique. It could have been its own thing, and I think it's a misstep to
include it as a Slenderman thing, or
to rely on Slenderman, when honestly the writing in this is top notch. I like it. It paints a very clear picture, even when it's describing something that I know is technically not, that's not the way that works, but I auto-correct it as I'm reading.
Yeah.
Like, I note the fact that, that's not right, and then I just keep going, and I'm still seeing, the way it makes sense to me.
Yeah. Well, actually, to side with you for a little bit for that, I actually, when you were saying that, I actually kind of got the envision, it could probably be like a vampire, or like a Nosferatu style kind of thing. Like, be very, like, tall, gaunt, black figure in a suit in black. Yeah.
It could have been, a vampire would have been a really good one, honestly, and actually, if it had been a vampire, you could have had, you didn't have to change anything.
Yeah, no, you really don't.
You could have even had, and you could have even had the woman in her apartment at the end.
Yep.
Like, okay, appetizers are done, on to the main course.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't know, I think that...
Like, I will agree with you, I mean, I'll enjoy it, I'll continue to enjoy it as a Slenderman one, but I can see that really could just been, like, if the guy had gone a little bit, like, wanted to be a little bit more different, made his own creature, or used... another creature. Yeah.
Either go like whole hog, make it Slenderman. Like, I don't know enough about Slenderman to do that myself, but like dive right in. Just slather your story with
Slenderman tropes and the dressings of it.
Well, I mean, and like a big one is Slenderman showing up in pictures and on film and shit.
Yeah.
And like. It doesn't even try and do that. It does, like, it's... I understand this is also just, like, one attack, but... I don't know. I feel like it's either too little Slenderman mythos, or should have just had another monster. Either add more mythos, or change your monster.
Gotcha. Okay, so, like, maybe had a photo or something show up in the room or something, and it's like, what's that? Or, I see it, like...
It would have required complete
more
retooling.
Work. Yeah, more work on it.
To add more mythos. And that, that would have made it longer, and it would have made it better, and it would have made it more slender. Or just change the monster and, have your fun little snapshot of, some horrific attack. I mean, Christ, it doesn't even have to be a monster. It could have just been a person.
Yeah. that was just really good at stalking people.
Well,
And also in the panic state of the guy, it's like, it seems like it's closer.
And one person chasing another, I mean, let's face it, for the most part, it's a fair foot race, right?
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. That's honestly the only bad thing I have to say about it, is that it didn't need Slenderman. And, I don't know, it seems like weakness for it to be Slenderman, because everyone loves Slenderman, so I'll make it Slenderman, and then, millions of people will read it.
We'll read it, yeah. Like, again, I was looking up for Slenderman creepypastas, and like this and like a couple of others were like the best, or really the best ones I could find on, and the first ones I could find on creepypasta.com.
And
again, it is
and this
written
one,
well.
Yeah, it's good. It's just, yeah.
Yeah. Again, personally, I do think that it does have a lot of Slenderman like little nods to it. I could see like why you'd think that it just
Well, yeah, but all of
because it
those
doesn't have a camera.
nods are in description to Slenderman.
Yeah.
For the most part. And also the fact that he basically just teleports around.
Yeah.
But, that doesn't even have to be.
Yeah.
Or something else can teleport.
Yes. Well, vampires again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, we both agree that could be either or.
Mm-hmm.
Mikey.
Alright, going to my notes.
The E stands for evil.
Yes.
Let's see, well, we touched on the water. I really didn't like the water.
Again, honestly, that was the only thing that really kind of jumped out at me when I was looking at it critically, and it was just like, okay, yeah. But at the same time, that was a really good description, but yeah.
And then, I didn't believe the cat.
Okay.
There's a cat at the very beginning
Yeah.
who walks slowly across
Yeah.
the pavement
Yeah.
and then licks his
In
paw.
this-
In the raining?
Torrential
Oh, yeah, in the
downpour.
rain. Yeah, okay, yeah. I didn't,
Like,
yeah.
cats don't do that when it's that rainy out.
They're not out.
Like, no animal is out. They're just sitting in shelter, maybe waiting for the rain to stop.
And if they are out, they're not stopping in the middle of the street or alley, whatever it was,
Yeah.
to, lick their paw. Like, are you thirsty? Is that why you're licking your paw?
Yeah.
Because that's the only reason I can think of. Yeah, it didn't. It was supposed to help set the mood, and I agree with you, Mikey, because it just took me right out. I was like I wasn't in yet, and it took me out, and I was like, how can you do this? You've created a paradox. I wasn't in, but you took me out.
I was never in the beginning. Nice. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I was like, again, you see what he's doing, like trying, like add to the
He's
scene
trying
and stuff,
to create
but
the atmosphere for
them.
the rest of the story, but that cat has to
yeah.
exist in a different atmosphere
yeah,
than the story
exactly.
takes place.
Like that torrential rain did not just start right after that. It was.
Well,
Well, it would have had to keep going for.
But yeah, no, it's only in hindsight that it really becomes bad.
yeah,
Like beforehand, it was just like when I was reading it, it was really just something to get through.
yeah.
But yeah, in hindsight, it like once I'd finished the story and when you were doing your rundown, I was like, oh yeah, that cat.
Yeah.
Like that cat in that rain.
Why would he be out there? Yeah, I'm thinking of it now. Like it didn't literally cross my mind until like now. Just it's like that cat would really not want to be in the rain. But yeah.
To do another thing, he mentions genetic memory.
Yeah.
Which
Again, I just
it
remembered
was
that. Yeah.
odd because
use-
he was using the science fiction version of genetic memory, which is popular with me
because of Assassin's Creed.
And it's like, oh, my genetic memory was making it so I'm fearful of this thing. And then he later, like, same paragraph at the end says, which meant that nobody had gotten away from this thing ever. And it's like, well, if nobody got away from it, how does he have genetic memory?
Yeah, like he could have gone like basic animal instinct, like the flee or
Yeah.
I
fight or
think what
flight.
he was trying to do was he was trying to establish a history of
Yeah.
Slenderman, and yeah, he picked some horrible words, and the fact that no one got away ever.
Yeah, like, I mean, he's like, no one's ever I've never heard of this thing before or something like that, so obviously nobody's ever gotten away. So it's like, so this does not exist in our reality, or any reality of any other the Slender Man mythos series, because they all have, like, contacts to find out what this thing is, or there's cults, or there's whatnot. It's like, so you're trying to establish your own
and this
thing.
is also someone in a panic state.
That's true, yeah.
You know, they're like, fuck, man, how does anyone ever get away from this?
Yeah. So, and he's never heard of anybody.
He tries to bring up genetic memory, and it's just...
It's kind of a flaw.
It's stupid. It's pointless.
Yeah.
He tried to do something, and he failed at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting fact.
But I forgot about it.
Same.
Well, like, as I was reading it, I was like, I read it.
I was like, okay.
I was like, this doesn't need to be
fresh
here.
bin.
Cut and paste. All right.
Move on.
On with the program.
Yeah.
But interesting, I did a Google search of just genetic memory, and supposedly it is the memory of a baby before it leaves the womb. Because it has none of its actual memories until
it has
it leaves.
no personal experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's things like, you know, sucking on the tit. You know?
Yeah.
Like, that's...
An actual memory.
Well, it's something that, you know, you're born and you do, for the most part.
Yeah.
But again, like, you can... It's probably that more or less that the guy heard it in Assassin's Creed for like, oh, well, your genetic memories passed down from ancestor to ancestor, so we can tap into those.
Well,
I'm guessing
there is an argument to be made for genetic memory telling us what to be afraid of.
That's true, yeah, because we have basic instincts.
Because he's not afraid of it because one of his ancestors faced it and he's living their memories because he's plugged into an animus.
Yeah.
He's afraid of it because it's on an instinctual level that he's like, I can't make it out. I think he's... But I'm horrified of it.
Yeah, and he uses the fox and rabbit thing. Like, the rabbit cannot comprehend the fox, but he knows to run from... He knows to fear it and to run from it. I think that's actually in there during his chasing. And then, like, that's like inner monologue as he's being chased.
It was quite the extensive inner monologue. For such a quick snapshot of, you know...
A slender attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really like the part where he's going through the sewer grate. Like the open sewer grate, he's holding on like to the sidewalk or whatever, trying not to go through that. And then the water forces him down once he releases...
For 4 seconds. It drops.
He drops for 4 seconds, which is a fairly long fall. But he doesn't continue with the water. He stops and breaks his hip.
Yeah.
And then is able to move and...
Your argument is that the water should cushion... Like, the flowing water should actually cushion his fall.
Well, no, it should keep him moving.
Yeah. Almost like a slide.
Yeah.
I hear you, too.
You're nitpicking on that one, honestly, because he did it the way he did it because it plays out for the scene.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That's my stance on that. It's, you know, he needed to fall and hurt.
Yeah, he needed to wait. He needed means to not...
honestly, why the fuck was the sewer grate open?
Right?
Like, you know, once you start asking one question, we're going to ask all the questions, and like, what the fuck's this Slender Man? How the fuck is that thing following up?
But that leads to the question, if it had been closed, he still would have been sort of sucked towards it, potentially, and just sort of had a bit of a struggle with it to get away.
Maybe. Like, I mean, I imagine, like, undercurrents are pretty strong, but I mean, it is a street.
Yeah, but when the water's this deep, there isn't really much to be under.
Exactly, like, exactly, yeah. Like, so...
The undercurrent is below street level.
I just figured, like, if it had been closed, he would have just kept going. Down the hill toward the Slender Man, who was apparently down the hill from waiting.
Yeah, and then the sort of last sentence before we stop with that protagonist.
Before we cut to the next one, to the next victim.
I Then he felt 2 claw-like fingers lightly position themselves on his eyes. He tensed up, realizing what it was about to do.
Yeah.
So, not knowing any of the Slenderman mythos, I don't know if he's dead, he got teleported.
My guess is that my guess was my immediate guess was my immediate guess was that his eyes were getting poked out because he saw the Slenderman. Like the Slenderman was going to kill him in a very torturous way. That was my guess. But I mean, at the same time, it also could leave it innocuous. I guess. Like, is he going to just like teleport, or is he just going to straight up kill him? Yeah, it's. I mean, we heard the scream in the next scene, so like that's why our new victim like went and looked out the window.
About? She didn't hear that scream. That scream came from the basement. She heard an earlier scream.
Oh, what? Really?
He's in the sewer when he gets caught.
Right.
She didn't hear that. Not in that rain.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For some reason, I immediately thought that was like where that transition. Oh, that's how the 2 victims transitioned. Okay. All right. So she just like was looking out her window and the wrong time.
Well, she heard a scream.
Yeah.
Just one of his earlier screams.
Fair enough. All right.
Because, I'm sorry, you're running for your life. Yeah, guess what? You're screaming a lot. You're falling down in the fucking street. You're coming up sputtering. You're making lots of noise.
Yeah.
If for
Even
no
in the
other
heavy
reason
rain.
than to try and attract someone's help.
Yeah. And like you said, like for some reason the streets of New York were abandoned because of not for some reason, because of the heavy rain. But yeah.
Yeah, it's...
Okay.
Now, granted, that's also... I'm saying, that wasn't the scream she heard. That's my assumption because...
Again, heavy rain is pretty loud.
Underground, rain that heavy is real fucking loud. Especially, like, she's 5 floors up.
Yeah.
And then you put in, like, he's under the streets and the street between them. I just don't think
there's a lot of
anything down there.
Yeah, there's a lot of sound barriers between him and her ear. Especially and then there's a window.
Yeah.
That she has to open up.
Well, the window's not really the concerning point. Because, I mean, the downpour is, going to be the big one.
Yeah.
That's just going to drown it out. So, again, might be, I probably should call that a flaw in the writing, but there's enough information in this story for me to...
Take that leap?
Yeah, for me to connect the dots so that it still makes sense.
And that's the end of my notes.
All right.
You got nothing about the woman?
Do
you? Cricket.
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean...
Again, it's the start of her...
I'm kind of fucking trying to figure out, like, what the fuck is going on in this city. Like, because this is set in New York.
Yeah, it is established.
And it's
New York City.
fucking abandoned. Yeah. Like, no one is outside.
Yeah, no car. Yeah, even in torrential rain, like maybe like I'm sorry. It's New York, goddamn city. There should be some like cab drivers.
New York or New York City?
New York City.
New York City. Yeah.
It specifies city.
Yes.
Do we need? All right.
And if it doesn't, it's in a city,
and it's in New York. It's called New York.
So I mean, it's again. If it doesn't say specifically New York City, you're nitpicking.
Exactly.
That's how that works. But yeah, it's just...
guys, this is some surreal shit. Leviathan is defending a story.
Because honestly, the writing was...
Yeah, no, I got you, yeah.
Like, it didn't piss me off. Honestly, the worst thing I can say about it is that it's Slenderman. Because, to me, the story as is shouldn't be Slenderman. It should be something else. Something that, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, maybe the guy's just a fan of Slenderman, and that's why it's Slenderman, as opposed to, Slenderman's popular, I will ride on those coattails.
Yeah. I'm more to lean toward that he was a fan of it because of some of the nitty-gritty that he threw into the story that I recognized as Slenderman, as like the core Slenderman mythos.
I can do that much research too, man.
Fair.
Like, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just saying...
Also, I thought it was actually...
Either option is, to me,
yeah, no, I agree.
50-50.
Like, again, I could see this being like a good, like, vampire stalking thing as well. Also,
Well,
I also don't think that, like,
I think
you have to
to
have a
make
camera necessarily to be in a Slenderman story.
No, you don't need to have a camera. You need to have pictures. You need to have video. You don't need a camera for those.
Mm-hmm.
You need a VCR or a fucking photo album.
That's true, yeah. Like, yeah.
That's what you need. I don't want a text version of a Slender vlog.
Yeah.
That's the last thing I fucking want. Because if you want a fucking Slender vlog, they're out there.
They're videos.
I don't want one in text form.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, I want something more, I want something more first person or, like, not found fucking footage.
Yeah.
But this, because, basically Slenderman does rely on found footage, you need, in my opinion, to do it proper Slenderman, I need to know what led to the chase scene.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah, so you, like, it would actually be better, the story, to have,
If this story had all of the information leading up to the chase scene, then I would say you've justified yourself as a Slenderman.
Gotcha.
Creepy monster.
Yeah. Like, he was like, looking at photos, like, who's that weird guy in there? And then that's what starts.
Whatever the story is.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care what it is. I'm not saying what it should be. I'm just saying there should be at least just as much more writing ahead of this story as opposed to what we have.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just a snapshot of the action-oriented part of the story. That's
Exactly. At which point it would service better if it was something less pop culture.
Yeah.
Because, it might as well have been Justin Bieber.
Fair enough.
And I genuinely think that if it had been something else, it would have been creepier.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't, there's nothing scary about this story to me. But if it had been,
something unique. Or
if there had been a monster painted with words that wasn't it's Slenderman, I know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
I would have been more inclined to, oh shit. That's my, again, this is my stance. I'm not a big Slenderman guy, so I don't get, I don't get the willies every time someone fucking mentions a black suit with no face.
Yeah. No, it's fair enough. I mean, again, he's become such a big thing nowadays. He's pretty much like Cthulhu, and why Cthulhu has plushies now. Cthulhu, original concept was scary or creepy.
Oh, he still
but
is.
Yeah, but there's fucking plushies and puppets of them now that are all cartoon and a lot friendlier now. And I'm sure the same
Not
thing is now
mine.
with the Slender. Oh yeah, yours. But mine is. I have my first Cthulhu. But I'm sure Slenderman has gotten that kind of merchandising online or something like that. I'm sure there's stuff like that. Yeah, big tall guy in a that's faceless.
Well, and
to encounter that would be scary, but he's become so well known. It's essentially
I've been seeing pictures of, Slenderman and whatnot before I knew what the fuck a Slenderman was.
Yeah.
And then you told me, you introduced me to Slenderman. I was like, oh, it's that guy who photobombs at parties.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ooh. So yeah, Cthulhu's still a monster.
Mm-hmm.
No matter which way you slice it, and how many cutesy plushies you sell of him. Cthulhu is a monster. He's massive, and he devours souls.
Yeah.
And thank God he's a heavy sleeper.
Yeah.
Slenderman, to me, was never really a monster. Mm-hmm. It was a photo gag. That's what he was first to me.
Yeah.
So, that's why I say, using a pop
original
culture icon, because that's what Slenderman is.
He is the most popular.
Slenderman isn't a monster.
Yeah.
He's pop culture. He's Michael Jackson. He's Justin Bieber. He's, he's Star Wars. He's just so everyone knows what he is.
Yeah.
And in that, you lose the mystique of describing the monster and having the reader's brain piece it together.
I'm gonna have to agree to disagree, but
That's fine.
Yeah, I do understand where you're coming from because
I'm just saying this person, they can paint a picture with words, and to use Slenderman was a waste of their talents because they could have come up with something truly gruesome or terrifying. And they didn't.
All right.
To me.
Yeah.
Again, Slender Man doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
He was a photobomber. He's never been a monster to me.
All right. Fair enough. All right.
Meanwhile, fucking Tall Man, goddamn Phantasm movies.
Boy. I need to see those movies.
Every goddamn time. And The Preacher from Poltergeist 2. And 3. 3.
Anything else, Mikey?
No, we've covered the
Pretty
story
much.
pretty much. Yeah. I think the only thing really left is recommendations.
Yeah. Well, I'll recommend it because
I recommend
really,
savings bonds.
I'll recommend it because I really enjoyed reading the story. It was actually I was actually not expecting it to be as good as it was, personally. Just because I had to browse through so many other Slenderman stories and was like, this is going to be slim pickings for Slendermonth. And again, I liked it because it works for a Slenderman story for me. Personal opinion. Yeah. So, Lathan, your recommendation?
I recommend it. It's well written. Like the imagery works. The pictures that are painted with the words. I don't know. I've seen them before, so it's just the words just give me a nice push off, so that bam, I just recall these images.
Yeah.
If you're not a Slenderman fan, I still recommend it because it's good writing. If you are a Slenderman fan, I still recommend it because
It's good writing.
it's good writing and it's got something you love in it. But, this time there's no qualifier on my recommendation, unless you're a fucking nitpicker like Mikey over there.
Yeah. Which, Mikey?
Yeah, I don't recommend it. Main reason is that I personally had trouble visualizing the water scenes. There's either supposed to be a lot more water or described better, or something just wasn't clicking for me for the visuals in the water aspect and the cat. I really didn't care for the cat.
It's really like from the starting, you just were like,
Yeah, it's another one of those
Actually,
first
I'm going to put an
paragraph.
addendum on my recommendation. Skip the first paragraph.
yeah, you really don't need that first paragraph.
It has nothing to do with anything. It's really just setting a scene,
But
you would get at the start of a play.
Yeah,
And
but hinders because it contradicts.
not even no. Even without the contradiction,
Oh yeah.
I don't like it.
All right, fair
I
enough.
don't like that cat. The cat's not up to anything or anything like that. It's just it doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
And honestly, I
forgot about it until we brought it up later into this.
like I said, it
Like, it
took
wasn't
me
even
out
my
before I
rundown
was
because of that.
in. It created a paradox. So yeah, skip the first paragraph, and
Okay.
you're good.
All right. Well,
Unless you don't like water, in which case.
well, he is
fuck you,
entitled to his
Mikey.
opinion.
Yeah. And that being said,
No,
did...
he's entitled to my opinion.
Well, you're giving it. But anyway. The actual monster, when it did show up and they explained it, seemed like, review calls said, explains the monster. Like, it is sort of true to the monster, which makes sense.
Yeah.
I liked those portions, but...
I also like the fact that it was its own spin on the monster. Like, the suit wasn't pristine.
Nice. It was bloodied and torn and...
Now, I mean, honestly, that doesn't really work for me, but that's a matter of opinion. But someone was doing something different with something that is so very established.
Yeah.
So I'm down with that.
Well, and again, he could have just said, it had no face. But he chose to use a less used version of, why its face is
You didn't
never
take
visible.
the easy way out.
Exactly, yeah. And I appreciate... That's why I think I appreciate it more, is because he's using things that I know are in the mythos that just don't get used a lot, which made me happy.
I still don't know what was going to happen to Mark.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I know, but, I don't know. It seems like it seems like there's an in like a bit of inside information that I'm just lacking.
About the eye, when he was
like-
grabbed and stuff like that.
Like how he knows what's going to happen to him.
Yeah, how does he know what's going to happen to him? But
Like
I
he's
don't.
never dealt with this creature before.
He's like, how,
He
Well,
knows
I mean,
to get away from it.
if I've
but
got
what does
two
it do?
claws on, like if I've got a
Like-
claw on each of my eyelids,
pretty sure I know.
I know what's going to happen too.
But it's lightly touching.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's still like they're there.
Every touch begins with light touch.
Tender caress.
the inner thigh.
Before the bullet blew out the back of JFK's head, it lightly touched him.
Wow.
Just saying.
Wow. All right.
What? How do we know those claws aren't going to, right the back of his head?
Or somehow it's going to be like, teleport. Bam.
Okay, yeah, but I
Honestly, I was never figuring.
Yeah, I did not like. I know where
But
you're going.
he
It's
is
like
teleporting.
putting it on his maybe on his forehead. I could see
Yeah.
maybe that you know that, but it's on his eyes. It's pretty
But
clear.
you're dealing with a
what's gonna happen.
teleporting creature.
Yeah, he just teleports to get to people. Like he doesn't, and only sometimes teleports other.
He's not
victims.
Nightcrawler.
Yeah,
He's classy Jason Voorhees.
yeah.
Jason Voorhees doesn't touch people with his machete and teleport them. He lightly touches them with the machete right before he cleaves them in twain with it.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, like I don't fully understand your opinion on like what is with those fingers and his eyes. It's like I don't know. To me, it painted a full picture. I mean, you're again definitely what the fuck is my word? Entitled to your own opinion, as always. But I just think
I don't know enough about Slenderman to make
And I
those
think
assumptions.
I think the story would have been better at reaching everyone as opposed to just fans of Slenderman if he didn't leave that ending ambiguous so much.
like just have
Because with the next character, the events that are about to transpire, there's your ambiguity.
Yeah.
You don't need it with the last guy. It could have had a definitive ending where
He's
he felt his eyeballs pop as,
as black
the claws dug into his cranium,
Yeah,
and then he knew no more.
exactly. And then
We go to, she was looking out the window because she thought she heard a scream.
yeah, exactly. That could work.
Yeah. And it wouldn't have left, certain individuals thinking that, oh, he's going to touch you on the eyeballs to teleport you away.
Fair enough.
I don't know how Slenderman works. He could just be teleporting people.
No, fair. I mean,
Do
honestly,
we know
I
what
will-
happens when Slenderman catches someone?
To be perfectly honest, in the Slender vlogs I've seen, he generally teleports victims or like onto. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the most aggressive I've seen the Slender Man. It's generally assumed that he teleports them to die somewhere else. But I'm just saying.
Wait, so he is teleporting them?
I'm not saying that for this one. I'm saying this one. To me, it was pretty clear that he was just poking his eyes out and killing them there.
I don't know, you say that, but then you say he teleports his victim. Well, fuck me.
In some of the vlogs, that's generally what happens to the victims. Like when they die, they're taken by Slender Man, but they're usually dead first.
I don't know. All of a sudden, Mikey's theories about teleportation are making a lot more sense. Maybe Slenderman does have more in common with Nightcrawler.
Bam. God. But yeah, so yeah, like again, like it does kind of that's why I said like your teleporting thing kind of like would make sense. But again, this is also the most like aggressive I've seen the Slender Man outside of Always Watching, the Marble Hornets spin-off movie, because he's just so like boom 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 like right coming at you, and when he grabs you like you're fucked. But yeah, so you know what? Maybe he did just teleport him. Maybe he didn't even take his eyes. Just I have such sights to show you.
Nope. He just teleported him to a land of lollipops
and rainbows.
No, rainbows. Rainbows are fucking terrifying. That's where leprechauns live.
That's true. And if our St. Patty's Day episode was anything to judge, yeah. Anyway, all right. So I think that's it then. After that hilarity. All right. So if you like what you heard, if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below, wherever this gets posted, whether it be on Kiwi6, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. We're on Twitter at Dr. Leviathan and Review Cultist. You can send us a review on iTunes. That would be awesome of you. And you can send us an email at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDNTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. Where you can also send us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like us to discuss on the show. And if you'd like, you can also donate. Go to crazonstudios.tumblr.com where you can check out all the title cards for each episode. And on the side, there's a little donate button. So, this has been our first episode of Slendermonth 2016. I've got a few bad ones, I'm sure, coming up, and some videos, and a Slender vlog to torment my fellow co-hosts with. So, until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm still Dr. Leviathan.
And I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.
Slenderman, Slenderman, all the children try to run. Slenderman, Slenderman, to him it's part of the fun. Slenderman.